Alrighty, I've decided to turn on the stream here as unfortunately we're around 800 KC and we have not received the boots yet. We're actually, I want to say dry. I haven't gotten a single drop from the early waves, only wave 9 or higher. Haven't even gotten a drop from 8. So, yeah. We're turning this stream on for the streamer RNG. Not the best stats, not the best log. Hopefully it pays out here. We'll just bring a ranging pot in, like a 2-dose. I don't feel like juggling potions, so we're not going to bring a, like, 4-dose. All right, turning the stream on for the streamer RNG. Let's take a look at the Delve stats. We are currently many waves completed, and unfortunately, we do not have the boots. I have not even gotten a drop from the early waves at all. 3, 4, 5, 2, 6, 7, not even 8. My only drops have been on, I think I got one drop on 9, and the rest have all been on 12, 14, 16. So yeah, let's hop in there. Hopefully streaming this time changes our RNG. Actually, just to start it off, we have already doomed ourselves because we are on the wrong spellbook. And while I could go in there with the normal spellbook, it would not be very favorable. Actually, we can just go to house. I don't know why I'm doing this. This is pretty unfortunate. Pretty unfortunate. This is what I get for not doing my farm run. Had I done the farm run prior to that, I would have changed my spellbook back because I would have noticed it. We do this, and we'll pull souls out. Alright. Alright, so I'll do a little delve commentary. I'm going to do a little delve commentary on this run. We're currently running from Tal to Klan. I bank there. I use house teleport tabs to get there. I put a Civitas Illis Fortis portal in my house just for easy transportation. I take the flight path to Tal to Klan. I bank from there. If I have Mokiadal Waystones, I also utilize those instead from any bank to just teleport straight here. So I do drop an inventory slot in this setup. As you can see, I do have a 2-dose ranging potion here. I don't really like to juggle supplies on the early waves. Most of the time, if I run out of something like with this particular setup, because I don't have prayer restoration spec weapon, most of the time if I'm running out of supplies, I'm running out of both brews and restores like at the same time. And if not, I just run out of restores and prayer pots and still have brews left, right? So I don't really like juggling an inventory slot around, even though it is a bit more efficient and a bit more better. But this is the setup I use. No crazy tech, no SGS, no blowpipe. You can reliably get to wave 20 without those. blowpipe, SGS, nightmare staff. All those items are really for if you're pushing higher delves. I do use the halberd. The scythe hits significantly harder, but I use the halberd personally. It makes the later waves a lot easier when you're going in for the melee punish, especially if you are using any sort of rock tech to avoid and block damage. That is something else to consider. We are using the ZCB with the T-bow. I do not have max range, but I do have close to max range. I think our max hit in this setup is like 79, 81, something like that. So we are missing a few max hits, but it's nothing, major, nothing game-changing. We do not have the Venator's Ring. Just Light Bearer, you're going to be able to spec pretty reliably, pretty consistently throughout the waves. Arceus Spellbook, if you really want, if you're trying to push higher delves, you can do something similar to Wydega. You can bring, Lunar Spellbook with Spellbook Swap, Cure Me, and Death Charge. You don't really need Thralls. Thralls are more quality of life. They just speed everything up a little bit. Rizzy Rob is telling us good luck, so we will let him know good luck as well. But with that being said, we will hop in. I do Pray Preserve, and I use a Ranging Pot, and I carry this through all the way pretty much until Wave 8. We have a 2-dose here because I can re-range pot a little bit later on. But one thing to consider and keep in mind is that if you Divine, it's going to run out like at the end of Wave 4, and then you're going to either have to re-Divine or sip a range pot, right? So I think pre-potting just regular range pot and using Preserve is a lot better, because by the time you get to like Wave 7, your range level is only going to be 108. You're only going to be missing a couple max hits, and honestly, it's not really going to matter or make a difference. It's better that you're just not divining or repotting earlier, right? So the longer you can carry out your range pot, the better. With this particular setup, if you're really good at avoiding damage on the later waves, you can drop Bruise, take more storage. You could easily get to Wave 25 or 30 with an extra range pot. 2 range pots is enough for like Wave 25. I'm not going to lie, with 1 Divine. The Divine will get you to like Wave 20. You might use a couple sips of range pot if you have to brew, restore, range pot back up, which I tend to do pretty often. But you could also just bring a 3rd range pot depending on how little mistakes you make. You could also drop the Divine entirely. It's honestly not really that good or game-changing. You could just bring a 3rd range pot and you'd be really, really chilling, honestly. The only annoying thing is that sometimes it helps and it's nice on the later waves to just have as much damage as possible. One thing to keep in mind, especially on the later waves, is that in order to clear the later waves and to really push delve levels, your supplies aren't going to matter as much as your ability to actually do the wave, to get to the ability to poison clear throughout the room and to clear poison, right? Because 99% of the time when I end a run, it's not because I'm out of supplies or because I took too much damage. It's because the room is filled with poison. I didn't take any time to clear poison along the way, and as a result, I sort of, run out of brews because I run over too much poison. I honestly don't take too much damage from much else unless it's just some sort of little mistake. But with that being said, without further ado, we'll hop into this. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee, and we'll get started. So we'll drip the ranging pot, drink it. We'll death charge. I actually forgot to spec there because it's the morning. I am a little bit tired right now. And we'll just continue to T-bow. Now, on these earlier waves, you can really prayer flick if you want to. Like, for example, there's no point in having my mage prayer on right there because at the end of the day, it's going to get turned off as soon as that boulder pops. You can also just camp prayers. It makes a pretty big difference to prayer flick, not to prayer flick, especially once you start getting to the later waves. But if you just want to kind of be lazy, you don't necessarily have to prayer flick, right? It's not needed at all. You can definitely get to wave 20 plus without it. Now, we did get double death charge there, so we are able to ZCB at the start of the next wave. The ZCB patterns I've been getting into are ZCB at the start of wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. You have to ZCB after the grub phase, and then pretty much the whole rest of the time you're ZCBing after grub phase. And you might have one wave if you're going super fast where you're not able to really, do that. So yeah, we'll ZCB spec here. We will continue hitting the boss. And again, because we're potted and everything else, I will probably stop here and there for commentary. But if this is you just doing the runs, you want to minimize your downtime between waves, especially if you're using divines, especially just in general. Because the more downtime you have between waves, the more you have to repot, right? With those grubs right there, one thing that I try to do is I always try to kill the grubs underneath the boss because it's just free extra damage. You definitely don't want any grubs to leak at all. They are your #1 priority because you'll get punished a lot on the later waves. Here's the nice thing about the halberd is that we never have to worry about chancing a melee attack by doing something dumb. We're done with this wave here. And I actually have prayer potions here, so this is not very good of me. We'll pick up the range pot. Again, this is why I don't like dropping stuff really, is because it's just extra time between waves. 2 through 5 do share the same room, but there is a despawn timer on your items, so that's something to keep in mind, right? I don't know if I already death charged. No, I didn't. It was just on cooldown from the last wave, so we'll death charge. And then you can pretty much, if you really want to, you can just lazy flick your prayers here, right? There's really no rush. It's nothing major. And recently, they actually changed this fight. It was bugged for a while where prayers, after they made some changes, prayers were nullified when he went into grub phase. If, like, prayers were coming at you at the same time, they would get nullified. They fixed the prayer thing, but now there's a long delay between the start of his shield phase and when he does his last attack. So it doesn't just instantly trigger on 75% anymore. And because of that, you want to try to not lose any ticks on the boss at all, especially when he's transitioning. I just missed a couple ticks there on the T-bow on accident. I wasn't paying attention to the color of that boulder. It does look like it was blue, though. But you want to minimize your tick loss on the boss because you'll get a lot of free hits in before the grub phase, which just equates to quicker kills, free damage. Whereas in the past, the damage would just get nullified, and you end up skipping this orb phase a lot more reliably. You can bring Masori and use Masori. You're going to have rougher car phases on the later waves, but you're going to have a lot more consistent early waves where you never really get, and later waves where you don't really get the orb attack that frequently at all. Just something to keep in mind. We are on wave 4 now. We'll sip the potion. We'll drop this potion. I like to stand like pretty much in melee range of the boss, and the reason why I stand pretty much in melee range of the boss is because it just makes dealing with the melee punish a little bit easier. Now, unfortunately, as you can see there, I just took an off-prayer attack because I'm not very good at, you know, commentating, talking, and playing RuneScape at the same time. I'm usually pretty locked in when playing RuneScape. But yeah, there was something else I was going to say too, something else I forgot. Wave 4, you don't want to stand close to the boss at the end of this phase because it has a chance to instantly melee you. Just something to keep in mind. Always clean up the grubs. Like I said, grubs are your #1 priority. You really want to have like 0 grubs leak the whole time you're in here. Ideally, you're going to have 1 or 2 grubs leak here or there just from not handling it properly. That's definitely something that can happen. We go in for the melee punish. What I was going to say, and I just ran into a boulder there, unfortunately, because I'm not really paying attention. But what I was going to say is that when it comes to ZC being after grub phase on wave 3 and 4, the boss just does have a chance to instantly do a melee punish. So you do want to be a little bit careful of that. And I'm dead because I ran out of prayer. I wasn't paying attention. Very unfortunate. It's the first time I've died on wave 4 in about 150 runs. Again, not the best at commentating at the same time. And that was definitely a little bit frustrating there. But, you know, we get back up and we just go again. Now, unfortunately, well, I didn't really use any supplies, but I'm still going to bank because it does make the difference between, like, wave 20 and wave 17. And I'd rather have as many high rolls for an item as possible. All right. Well, time to get right back in there. So again, I'm gonna do pretty much the same thing here. We're gonna, yeah. Well, I'll do the run how I normally do it from start to finish instead of trying to try new things or change anything up. We're just doing basically waves 1 through 20, wave 1 through 18. Pretty simple, pretty easy. This is the setup. And I basically just teleport to Civitas Illifortas via house portal. And then from there, I take the bird to Tel Declan and I get ready. If I have these, I use them. I do drop an inventory space. I just don't feel like juggling stuff on the earlier waves. Even though it is a bit efficient, or a bit more efficient, a bit more better, not really something I enjoy doing. It just feels kind of like, I don't want to say a bunch of extra work, but it's just annoying. I like to minimize the downtime between each wave and just start each wave and go until I'm pretty much done for and finished, right? That's what I like. I don't like to like mess around, you know, fingers in my ears type thing, sticking my tongue out, meowing at my screen, basically. Yeah, I don't want to be really messing with any of that stuff at all, so we basically just go. I think I may or may not have explained this already, but we do use Ranging Pot pre-pot as opposed to Divine. Divine will run out like either on wave 5 or the end of wave 4, and then you have to either redivine or repot, right? Regular Ranging Pot, you'll stay like up to 108 range level all the way through wave 8. So you only sacrifice a couple max hits. It honestly, if you know and understand the waves, it doesn't make a difference to be drained that much in range level. The fight might take you one extra hit. You might have to deal with one orb phase, but if you know the fight and you know the boss, like that shouldn't be an issue or shouldn't be a problem. In fact, it actually kind of benefits you because it gives you the opportunity to clear poison. But then from wave 8 and higher, I do Divine just to sort of make the waves pretty quick and pretty easy. These are our current Delve stats. This is with no shield skip, so no letting the shield regenerate to end the wave. I have not done that a single time on this account. With that being said, we will hop in there. Very important because we are using just regular range pot. You do have to play preserve, and like I said, if you want to bring another range pot, another brew, another restore, feel free to do so with that extra inventory space. Definitely something you could utilize. You know, I don't bother praying piety for the melee punishes. It's just a lot of extra work for a little gain. It's only initial damage, which does kind of help, but not really that much. I always try to kill the grubs underneath the boss. That way you just get a little bit of free extra damage. I don't necessarily always flick my prayers. Like sometimes on the earlier waves, I'll flick just rigor just to kind of, because the waves are boring at this point, and so you kind of just want to get them over with while also like minimizing your supply usage. But at the end of the day, whether you flick or not, it's really not going to make too much of a difference. You might have a couple extra sips of brew or restore, or restore, I mean, but at the end of the day, like, you're probably going to run out of space in the room. There's so many ways. Like, honestly, you could bring 10 sharks and 6 prayer pots in here and get to wave 20, depending on how you handle the waves. But with that being said, like I said, we do want to minimize downtime between the waves. Ideally, you just want to basically start each wave. I like to stand in melee range of the boss, and the reason why I like to stand in melee range of the boss is because it just makes dealing with the melee punish a little bit easier. At the end of the day, that's pretty much all it is. So like right here, we don't have to run, we don't have to lose ticks. I can just move basically and get straight in there. Catch the prayers here. Actually kind of shredding this boss here. We hit a pretty average, not average, but not a slow wave 1. Slow with Void is like, I don't know, 54 or 58 seconds, where you're just about getting orbs spawn on the earlier waves at exactly 1 minute room time. That being said, we will hop to wave 3. Now you'll notice here that we don't have enough spec to ZCB at the start of this wave, so what I do here from wave 3 out and out, since you can't regen spec between waves anymore, is I basically start to spec after the shield phase, which is what most people do, but generally speaking, you'll have enough spec between every wave with double death charge. Again, you need death charge and double death charge too, to really, you know, get that working. Now, every time the boss goes in this phase here, I always shut my prayers off just to minimize prayer drain. You can flick Rigor if you want, or hit the boss with it, but at the end of the day, it's really not that much of a difference. Doesn't really change anything. You're chilling either way, right? You may as well take your time in this phase. I do believe that there's like an explosion after the boss comes out of this phase. I do think the damage from that explosion is based on how many times you hit the boss, or potentially we're making quite a few mistakes here, not gonna lie. But it's based on either how long you're in the shield phase or something like that, or how many times you hit the boss. But what I will say is that you definitely don't want to stay in that phase forever just to maximize that explosion damage, because it deals like 25 to 30 damage even if you pretty much instantly deal with the phase. So spending an extra minute in that phase to gain not too much damage just isn't the best. Now on these earlier waves, we can just go for long angles here. Always flick your prayers, or at least try to flick your prayers based off of sound. We'll cast Death Charge here. I don't know why I did that, but we did. Didn't really need to do that at all. But we'll go down to Wave 4. That was pretty slow. Wave 3. With Void setup, no Misori, you're going to have some pretty slow early waves here and there just because it's not the most accurate. If you do take Misori, you'll have a lot faster phases outside of, car phase. Most of the time, you'll be able to push the boss before you even get boulders at the start of the fight. Misori is a lot more consistent. It's a lot more accurate. You just lose some max hits, which isn't the best for car phase. We are just kind of abusing car phase with this setup, though, and sort of playing off that. That being said, start wave 4. Pretty simple. One thing I forgot to mention last wave is that you definitely want to try to avoid ZC being directly after the grub phase on waves 3 and 4, unless you don't lose any ticks. And the reason why is that the boss has a chance to do the shield phase or the melee punish like directly after that grub phase. There's like a pretty high chance that the boss is going to do a melee punish, right? So you just have to look out for that and not have your ZCB get nullified. Another thing is you really don't want to miss any ticks at the start of the shield phase. When you're still hitting the boss dealing with prayers, you want to try to keep hitting the boss, because right now there's a bug where the boss has a little bit of a delay between when it hits 75% health and when the shield starts actually charging. So you can usually get 1 if not 2 extra hits off, which is a ton of extra damage. It's super, super nice. Sometimes you'll be able to hit the boss to like 40% health before, car phase even starts, or before the boss comes out of it. Now, ideally, like right here, I would ZCB a lot earlier. We're kind of playing this really bad, I'm not going to lie. We're also getting a ton of orb phases. I don't know if this is just because I'm bad and I'm missing a bunch of ticks because I'm not paying attention, or what exactly the issue is here. Now, with those prayer attacks during the orb phase, I always change my prayers. So basically, I start walking with the orb. And then I change my prayers based on noise. Noise is your best friend inside of the Delve boss. And the reason why noise is your best friend is because all of the prayers and the damage has an audio cue on it, right? So you basically only change your prayers when you hear that audio cue, and you're golden. If you try to play it visually, you're going to die a lot because you're going to get confused and like distracted by prayers while also dealing with other mechanics at the same time. So like right here, the boss is going to proc the shield phase. But you see how I had that whole extra hit before it goes? So sometimes that hit will nullify, but most of the time if you don't miss any ticks, that extra hit will actually go through. So if I hit like an 80 there, the boss would have like half health coming out of this phase. It's actually really nice to get a big hit in on 5, because it basically guarantees that you're going to kill it in car phase, since wave 5's car phase is a bit shorter. We'll clean this up, though. Always make sure that all these grubs are dead here. Also, really important to not miss any ticks here. So I just lost an entire attack. You don't want to miss any ticks at the start of 5. We'll kill that grub just so it doesn't accidentally heal. On the later waves, the far away grubs you can leave. But on wave 5, you do have to kill them since there's a longer downtime between certain effects. We'll just go for this here, and we'll go for it like right now. We'll deal with the prayers. We'll hit the orb. Have to be a little bit careful there. We did get poisoned. That's not really the best. You ideally don't want to really get poisoned until the later waves, just to conserve your anti-venom doses unless you're bringing lunars. But we will descend. Now, because I haven't taken any damage so far, I'm just going to keep going. If I was like 50 health, I'd probably brew up and maybe consider divining. But generally speaking, wave 6 and 7, I don't divine or really repot until I take enough damage to justify brewing, restoring, and actually using a divine. Now, you'll notice on these later waves, I do use the rock tech, so we'll drop... Oops, I have auto retaliate on. I do use the rock tech, so... So we drop the rock, but you'll notice that if you start moving with the halberd on the same tick that the boulder pops, you don't risk taking damage on accident from the boulders, like the shadows on the ground, because it pretty frequently places a shadow, like, essentially on your second running tile if you run a tick late. I'm not sure if any of this is making sense, but you really want to make sure that... And then again, we'll clean all the grubs up here. But yeah, you want to make sure that you start running the same tick that the boulder pops, just to minimize your damage taken. And you don't want to summon thralls on these later waves, because the amount of poison on the ground increases the more you hit the boss, and thralls count towards that. So you want to minimize sources of damage. Now, because you're just basically dealing with mechanics and you have to drop a boulder anyways earlier on to effectively do the rock tech, not having thralls early doesn't really matter. If you are using rune or amethyst arrows, non-max range gear, you definitely summon a thrall in the car phase for a decent bit of extra damage. Now again, we're still 70 health here, which is above one-shot range. I generally don't like to be below like 60 health, because that is a threshold where you can just get one shot here. If you take an off prayer or get caught kind of sleeping. Because I have so much KC, I'm not always like 100% locked in. I'm kind of zoned out or bored half the time, so I generally play it safe. But again, we're still 105 range level. We're still potted. We are missing a significant amount of max hits, but again, it shouldn't really matter here, and if it does, we can sort of deal with it. Now, I'm going to pay attention to the ground here. Click a free spot. I could utilize these mages to have a really short shield phase, but because we didn't hit like super hard there, we don't necessarily need to, like, we can just prioritize killing those guys. It's not the same as the earlier waves where I always try to kill the grubs underneath the boss for extra damage. On the later waves, I kind of judge it based off of, you know, can I effectively kill these grubs? If they're not going to die at a point where it really matters, then we won't worry about it. Now again, we'll clean up that melee grub. The mage grub might make it to the boss, but it shouldn't. Yeah, it's too far away. So again, this isn't wave 5. On these later waves, if the grubs don't make it to the boss when it first moves, they're not going to make it to the boss at all, as long as you follow some kind of movement pattern like this. So we'll just basically kill the boss here, get behind a boulder, and then run back out. Now, always best to kind of not take any damage at all, right? But like right there, for example, I could have potentially taken a little... I could have just hit the boss. I mean, I had 3 health, so I could have just hit the boss and ignored standing behind a boulder and brute forced it. Something that you have to do on later waves every now and then is exactly that, but we just run behind the boulder, we take care of it, avoid taking damage, pretty straightforward. But let's say I ran over here because I wasn't really paying attention to boulders. I probably should have ran over here because there were a lot more boulders over here, like on this side of the room, up to this one, and then over to here. But let's say you run to a quadrant of the room, and then you notice that there's no boulders there. You can basically just tank the stomp. The stomp maxes like a 42, I think. So as long as you're full health, which again, that's kind of why I try to stay full health on these waves. I really don't take too much damage. So, yeah. Now, I could have been a little bit more sweaty here and gotten an extra hit in on the boss. But if I made a mistake when I was doing that first perflick and trying to do that, I would have been doomed. We did go in for the extra hit there, though. It depends on what tick you're on when the second rock pops, but sometimes you can get an extra hit in before the boss sort of phases. I'll hit this little grub here, kill this one, keep hitting the boss. I basically just range the boss here, but if you want to stall out the phase, you can kind of fill with melee hits a little bit. Now again, we'll clean up the grubs. Don't need to clean up all the grubs, though. That's something to keep in mind. You only need to clean up the grubs that are close to the boss. All the other ones are just going to do this, right? So if they're like more than, I don't know, 6 tiles away from the boss, I don't know the actual like tile amount. I just kind of know it, like when I'm safe and when I'm not safe. Sometimes one leaks here or there. You never know. We're hitting a little bit low here, unfortunately. I don't think I summoned a thrall on this wave. Okay, one final hit in. Looks like we will have to deal with some prayer orbs. Now, what you do in this phase kind of depends on how the attacks pan out. We might just kill the boss right there. It looks like we did. But what you do in this phase depends on when the orbs come out, the prayer orbs or the boulders. So there'll always be a boulder, 4 attacks. Like the boss will do 3 attacks and then always guarantee a boulder within either those 3 or the 4th one. You're a little bit doomed if the boss does the boulder right. If he does it like 3 attacks in. If it's his first attack, you can always deal with the boulder, or his second attack, you can always deal with the boulder and then hit these, and they'll spawn in time for the slam, if that makes any sense at all. But if you try to deal with the boss's if you get it on like the 3rd attack, you have to walk the orb while doing the prayers, right? It's a pretty high chance that the boss is going to do an attack like right off the get-go, though, so just keep that in mind. Now, again, we're just going to run to our rock starting tile every round. There are multiple rock starting tiles throughout the room. It really just depends where you want to place the boss. Right here, we're going to go for the melee punish. Again, that's why I like Halberd, because you get that 1 extra tile, which gives you an extra tick to start flicking your prayers and run away, right? Which also gives you an extra tick to start hitting the boss if you want. I could have hit the boss there for a little bit of extra damage, but we didn't. And because the grub was so far away, we deal with the grub first, right? And then we handle it. Now, right here, I can come in with the Halberd and clean up all the crabs or the grubs. I wasn't really liking the spot of that range one, so we take care of it. Now right here, we're in kind of a rough spot because the boss did not put any boulders here. So rather than running down here and baiting the boss down there, we're just going to run right here. We'll take a little bit of a DPS loss here, but we'll run here. And then because there's so many boulders right here, the ones that were right here will block these ones from dying. So we can just run here. And I might actually take damage there. Never mind, I didn't. But I almost took a little bit of damage there. Now, we still have 55 seconds on our Divine. I'm not really liking, like, normally I can do, like, 4 waves with the Divine. I just am kind of commentating and talking at the same time, so I'm getting a little bit distracted. But, yeah, another thing, if the boss ever throws poison on this side of him, you got to watch out and make sure it's not in your pathing. Now, right here, again, we'll deal with the prayer orbs. We'll put our staff on in the middle of dealing with those, just so we can start hitting that. Now, again, if you're a really cracked, really crazy player, you could definitely hit the boss while dealing with those prayers. Like, you could have gotten an extra hit there. You could have gotten an extra hit when the melee punish was coming out, or the first perflick, my bad. But you could definitely get a lot of extra hits in. It's something that, like, even though I'm able to do it myself, I don't always like to take the risk, because if you mess up, you're just dead. This content is really punishing. It's not like you ever really get hit for a small number here. It's usually like a 70 that you're getting hit by if you make a mistake, which kind of sucks. Now, we'll redivine. You always, again, on these later waves, have to watch and look out for where the boulders are dropping going into this phase, because it's going to tell you where to run. So we got boulders on this side of the room here, so we're just going to go right here. We can kind of preemptively run a little further back. I think 1 tile further back and we get dragged in trying to hit the boss right here. So that's also something to keep in mind. We just path correctly over the poison and we should be good. So that's definitely something I have kind of messed up this run a little bit, is my pathing has not been very good. I've already taken a little bit of damage. I've wasted a lot of perk points because I haven't really been focused on flicking. I've been talking a bunch and kind of commentating stuff. Again, a lot of those things are going to affect performance. A lot of downtime between waves, so we've wasted a lot of potion time. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee, and we're chilling. Yo, Zal, what is up, brother? Bro, I am more dry on RuneScape for this new item than I was ever dry for Temporalis on PoE 2. I saw some reliable stuff about PoE 2, though, come out recently. Gonna handle all these prayers pretty effectively. Our DPS is pretty bad here. Gonna miss a hit entirely there because I not playing too hot right now. %872% movement speed? No, I didn't see that. Okay, we're gonna run right here because we got rock heavy right top side, northeast, whatever spot this is. We'll take a DPS loss here. Actually, we don't have to take a DPS loss. I'm out of range behind the boulder, but we can still go in for the extra hit there, and we're chilling. Making quite a lot of mistakes here, running over poison. Yeah, definitely tag me in that. Yeah, this is RuneScape Delve, brother. This is RuneScape Delve. We're delving for the loot, and unfortunately, I mean, I know you don't really play RuneScape, but just to put it into perspective, it's like a 1 in 500 to get this pair of boots. I've gotten 6 pets, which are like the rarest drop, twice as rare as these boots, so I should have like 12 boots for these 6 pets. But yeah, we have not been doing too well. This is basically what I've done the last like month that I haven't been on PoE. Since PoE 2.3 is coming out soon, I have been grinding RuneScape out to get caught up on everything, and then hopefully there's no major or big RuneScape update for a while apart from sailing and maybe, you know, some new quests and whatnot. These grubs always spawn at the same spot. But yeah, I've heard a lot of reliable, or not reliable, but good things about 0.3. A lot of people are saying that they're data mining some really OP stuff. Come on, brother. Just give me a drop, brother. Can I finally get the boots today, please? I did not notice I was venomed, but we kind of did a couple big hits. We got 2 extra hits in there, which was really nice. So we should just be able to kill the boss right here. Hopefully. Thank the Lord. Crazy that I have 750 deep delves, brother. We still don't have the boots either. We're actually at 772 right now. 21 deepest delve. This is with no tech either. No SGS, no Nightmare, no Faldor Shield. Yeah, this is my log, brother. I'm right there with you. Thankfully, the Eye of Ayak is like a shadow. For an Iron Man, it's like a shadow replacement. Because I have a shadow, but the worst thing about the shadow is how much gold and runes it uses, right? It just burns gold and runes and resources. So the Eye of Ayak is really nice, especially going as dry as I am. I have like 100,000 charges, and I would have like 300,000 if I died less. But yeah, we have 6 pets, and yeah, it's not been looking too good. It's been a we got a pet last night, but it's been a while since we've gotten like a we got like 5 pets in a row, and I was kind of salty because yeah, it just wasn't that fun. Okay, this was kind of bad of me. I meant to place a boulder over here. And the thought process behind placing a boulder right there is that if we place a boulder right there, we end up getting a free, like, second rock. You know, if you can always place this, it doesn't matter, like, having to cheese the boulder for the second rock. As much as it matters just having a boulder on that side of the room guaranteed, right? Because now we don't have any boulders. Like, we're going to have to do some diagonal L movement here. But we should be chilling. But we're not really hitting at all. This is kind of doomed. Okay, we just hit big twice in a row. 3 times in a row. Can we get one last big hit? Nice. That was like kind of big, like a 40 something. Yeah, 48. And this isn't gonna... Oh, that did kill it. Very, very nice. Yeah, the eye is really good, especially for Iron Men, like I said. But if you're a main, I mean, it's good at chambers. If you don't have Max Mage, it's pretty comparable to a Shadow. And Max Mage is kind of expensive nowadays. Like, it's a really good budget item overall. But yeah. Yeah, I feel you on the not wanting to sweat it out on this one. I mean, I definitely go to, like, wave 18-ish, like 17, 15 to 17 on average, like, every time now. But for the long time, I wasn't really going that deep. And, I mean, it definitely, like, I could green log this boss in one day if I just brought a sweaty setup in and did, like, wave 100 3 times over. Definitely could green log it, but it just sounds miserable. And maybe one day I'll go for like a really deep delve. But what I did personally was I ran like completion time for a while. And I got like a 7-minute completion with no shield skip. Like not skipping, not letting him fully regen the shield to skip the shield phase. So I'd say like I'm pretty happy with that. My PBs for every wave are like 2 ticks off rec for the most part. Or they're like, what, 10 ticks off on the non-shield skip ones. So... But yeah, the boss is definitely draining me a little bit. That was a wasted 462. One thing I have noticed though with Delve is that for some reason, no matter what you do, there's always like one corner tile that's free around the boss. But yeah, I'm not even like clearing poison, right? I'm just over it. I don't want to sweat it out, kind of like you said. Okay, we're gonna get a double grub leak here. Not very ideal, but... Oh, we only got one to leak. I was not really paying attention there. And like, because we're on the later waves now and the room is just completely filled with poison, I could always make just a dumb mistake with pathing or something. Especially right now, I'm kind of tired, so I might do something really stupid. So I like to just camp high health on these waves, even though like the secret tech to get to like wave 25, 30 with no tech, no poison clear, is to honestly just never brew between waves. You take a lot less damage than you'd realize here once you get the waves down. You really don't take any damage at all, actually, except for poison on the ground. Please don't put it in shield phase. It's gonna go in from that poison tick, isn't it? Nice. We got the one tick 78 off onto the boss, but we're in a bit of a rough situation right here. Oh my gosh, look at the movement right there. That was insane. How good am I? So that was our second grub leak of the entire instance was right there. And we skipped all the damage there too. Balalala. What do you think about just sending wave 7 completions and going for uniques and claiming loot as I go? That's what I did at the start, but honestly, I have not seen a single drop on the early waves. But I've seen a lot of people say that it works for them and that they've gotten a lot of drops on the early waves. I just haven't. Like, I have never seen a drop from wave 2 through 8. I've only seen mine on 9 and higher. But yeah, for boots, I'm just running Lightbearer for ZCB. If you don't have a ZCB, I probably wouldn't run Lightbearer. I'd run like Brimstone or Archers or Venator, whatever you have. And for boots, I'm just running Guthix D-Eyed boots because that's why we're at the boss, is to get us some boot upgrades. I have the Eternals and the Prims ready to go. And yeah, it'd be nice to finally have a pair of range boots on the iron. But yeah, the eye is definitely cheaper to use than the shadow. I mean, it doesn't really matter if you're on a main account, but on an iron, like, holy cow. I'm so glad that they put this in the game and that it actually is pretty decent damage. I'm going to let this divine run out because I was chatting and yapping. We missed like 4 waves worth of divine value this run, so we'll just range bot and pray preserve. And I should have enough here. I mean, the room is pretty bad, not gonna lie. This room is awful. There's nowhere to hit the melee grubs unless I use halberd, but halberd puts you on attack cooldown, and sometimes I get it put on attack cooldown for so long because I stop paying attention, and then I get hit by the frickin' charge up. It's happened like twice the last 2 days. We'll pray preserve though, and we'll head down here. I like to claim too, especially on an iron. I try to claim if the Sunkiss bones hit like 100 or if I get a Sunfire Splinter drop. But yeah, the reason why is that this is like 100 of these is like 30k per XP, and the Sunfire Splinters are like the equivalent of half a Coliseum run, so you may as well, unless you're like done with Coliseum and etc. But yeah, 1 through 7 completions, like honestly, if you don't have Twisted Bow or ZCB, you could definitely try to do 1 through like 7, 1 through 8. It's definitely a little bit more rough, but once you get it down, it's pretty easy. I'm not gonna lie. Like once you get the Delve boss down, it's really not that bad. When I started killing this boss, I thought it was like way harder than Inferno, hardest thing in the game by far, and now I'm just like super chilling the whole time. I just had my hand off my keyboard there, so we took a little bit of damage. And we missed an entire hit. Not really looking too good for us. We're going to get one grub leak. That was the third one we've leaked the whole run, which is, it's pretty good. If you get to like wave 20 and you haven't leaked at all, it's definitely good. Probably going to have to tank this stomp because I brought the boss to the wrong side, but we should kill it too. Nice. Yeah, we'll do like one more wave and then we'll just reset. Unless we die on this next wave. This is generally what I do. I just go until the room... Like, this is how I do the delve. If I didn't have all this poison on the ground, like if I cleared poison, I'd be able to do another 10 waves if I just brought an extra restore, one less brew in. Because like 90% of the damage I'm taking is pathing, because there's so much poison, I'm just taking damage. And then like, obviously the occasional little mistake here and there. Are Sunkissed Bones really that good for prayer? Is it quick XP? Yeah, I mean, I've gotten like 2 mil prayer XP here. I started this boss at level 82 prayer, and I am currently, I have like 200k prayer XP banked. Yeah, I have 200k banked, so I will have went like 82 to 88. So it's not amazing, but if you get like 100 of them, it's like the equivalent of like 150 Dragon Bones or something like that. I mean, it's definitely not bad. The boulders on wave 8, yeah, you'll get the hang of it. It's honestly, it's a pattern on 8. So on wave 8 with the boulders, like if you're dying after car phase, right? Because like early on, basically you're just baiting the boulders out. You're dropping it on this tile to skip part of the fight. Oh, we need to range pot. But like this boulder right here, if you bring Halberd, you move the same tick the boulder pops, and you never take damage as long as you click far. The only thing you're going to take damage from is poison on the ground. And this boulder here, you just zoom in, move off the boulder you were on so you don't get knocked back, and then click the shadow on the next tick, and you'll be good. But again, like, we can basically just run around forever. We go into this car phase. Now, with the car phase, it's a little bit different. I'm going to have to take a bunch of damage here. Outside of the car phase, it's a little bit different, because outside of the car phase, I'm trying to focus here. I don't want to die on this last wave. I want to actually claim. Okay, well, we were doomed there no matter what. That was unfortunate. Outside of the car phase, the boulder and the orb attack line up like in a way where you do the same thing every time based on how many attacks the boss does before it shoots the orb at you, or the boulder. So like right there I messed up. That was kind of doomed because I had to tank the slam. There were no boulders. I just wasn't paying attention. So that was unfortunate. We die there. There was also no good lineup for rocks that I saw there. I don't know. I tried to see a straight line, but there was only that diagonal line, and I just went for it. I should have shot it the other way, and I would have been just fine, but we also took immense damage from running over poison. Unfortunately, that was like a very bad room state, but it happens, you know. It happens. It is what it is. We just go next run, and I think all we really lost there was a couple bones and like 2,000 tears, which isn't the best, isn't the worst. The worst part of this boss, especially on an iron, is just the supply usage and the death coffers fees from learning. I've used like 80 mil here just in deaths learning. And now we're at the point where I don't really die that much, and if I do, it's on a wave where, you know, I at least got a somewhat decent chance at loot. But yeah. Is there a guide I watched for my method? No, I copied the Rock Tech tile marker from No Monkey, but everything, like even that I figured out on my own. I just took his tile marker. I've died like 300 times here, so pretty much everything I know is just from death, like experience. You die and you learn, and you go again and you die, and it's just over and over. Yeah, I think No Monkey might use like multiple boulder placement markers. Could definitely be a thing, and I think he does his differently. There's a couple things to like understand about the car phase, which is that the boss is always going to go to the same spot in the room depending on where you stand, no matter what. So as long as you're in certain quadrants of the room, you can guarantee the boss will go to a certain location. And you just, it's like you kind of get a feel for it. I don't know the actual ticks or the actual numbers, but you get a feel for when the boss is going to register your position and move places and etc. And my actual tile markers, I just have the corner. The only thing I have marked is that first rock spot, and then I have the corners of the boss marked. And the corners are marked because the grubs can only come from the, what is it, like northeast and southeast side. They only come from one side of the boss, and it's random which way they come from. So I have the corners marked so that if I see an orb, like pathing that would clear a lot of poison on those corners of the bosses, I try to shoot it. But it kind of gets rough because it doesn't always line up. Is RS Delve kind of similar to PoE? Yeah, I think so. PoE Delve is like the lower you, or the higher you go, the more loot you get, right? So it's the same, but this kind of caps out like on wave like 8 Zao. This will cap out, which when they proposed it, it sounded like it was gonna be you just got more and more and more loot every single time. But with the final iteration is there's basically 8 waves. Each wave gets harder, and then 9 and up are just a repeat of 8, which is the hardest wave. But they have better loot odds, and then the loot odds don't get any better past like 9. So you can go permanently if you want to. You can go 6 hours, which is the logout timer. One player did like 185 waves in 6 hours. His name is Wydega. It's not like it's super challenging to do. I think most players who have any decent delve experience could easily go to like wave 150. I think it's just a matter of not wanting to mess around with it. It's just a lot of kind of annoying tech, and just if you do make a mistake, you kind of die, right? So it's not that it's challenging or that it's complicated. You just have to make a couple clicks here and there that could kill you if you mess up. And the biggest one is basically, I don't even know, it's if you get like a bad orb and you have to like spec a rock to get to get some resource back, but you also have an orb coming out at the same time and you just don't handle it properly or something. I don't know. It's pretty much the only thing that could kill you. But yeah, I can show you my tile markers. I can kind of go over like a little bit of my thought process. I struggle playing RuneScape and kind of explaining what I'm doing the whole time, just because I kind of suck. when I play PoE and stuff, I'm able to chat a lot more when I talk or when I play, because it just comes, I don't want to say more naturally, but I have to be a lot more focused on RuneScape than PoE. PoE, you're just kind of running around killing everything outside of the initial campaign grind. But yeah, we've used a lot of supplies at this boss, and we have used a ton of potions, arrows. I've used 15,000 amethyst arrows here, 3,000 dragon. I still have 1,000 dragon left, but I gave them to my group mate and basically said, yeah, do what you wish here. But yeah, these are the actual delve stats. So we're at, and I could do the math, but like obviously we're not on rate. Like it's like a 1 in 2,500 from wave 2 to get the cloth. So like we're obviously not on rate there. But wave 3, like the combined chance of getting a cloth or an IAC is probably like 1 in 700. So we're like halfway on rate. 4, it's probably like a 1 in 500. You know, combined between all 3 items. So it's like I'm definitely on rate to see a drop from the early waves, and then 3 or 4 from the later waves, which we have 4, but I don't know like if you count those pets as drops or not. I feel like if you count all the pets I have as drops, that I'm like spooned, but if you don't count them as drops, I'm super dry. You know what I'm saying? It's so bad. It's so rough. Another big thing with Delve is just making sure that on these early waves that you're not utilizing or not really taking any damage. Like, you really don't want to take damage in here, like, until wave 8, right? Which, obviously, if you don't have a Twisted Bow or a ZCB, it's a lot easier to take damage than without. But once you kind of get stuff down, it just takes a few tries, really. You get it down. It just takes practice, really, at the end of the day. Please don't do a melee. Okay, thank the Lord. I swear I never, like, it's so rare to get a melee punish early on to get prayer and health and spec back. So unfortunate, but at the same time, it is what it is. Yeah, so it really just, there's only a boss. Like, you're just killing the same boss 8 times, but every time you kill it, it has like a new mechanic. So like the first wave on this boss, it just basically throws boulders at you. It can do like an attack where you have to melee it, but it doesn't do much else. And it can, you know, change it does like a prayer attack that does 1 prayer at you, and if it goes way too long, you can get a phase where you need to like travel along with an orb. But then on the second wave, instead of doing 1 prayer attack, it does 2. And that's about it. And it has a little bit more health. And on the third wave, it gains a shield, which is what you just saw right there. So you have to destroy the shield by killing all the little grubs that spawn within radius of the boss. If they reach the boss and you don't kill them, it deals more and more damage to you until you die, so you really want to kill all the grubs. Because if you let too many of them leak, not only does it heal the boss, so it slows down the wave and the kill, but it deals damage to you as well. So this is the attack where if the wave takes too long, you have to do this. I killed the boss, so I don't have to do the attack, but you gotta hit 2 rocks and then walk along with it. That attack spawns at like 1 minute in every time. But wave 4, now instead of 2 prayer attacks, it does 3 prayer attacks, and it can do a 4th one as well. So you just have to be, you basically have 1 tick, which is 0.6 seconds to react to each prayer. So like right here, it shoots that boulder at me. It's blue, so it's going to be a mage boulder, so it's going to be mage, range, mage. You just have to avoid the shadows on the ground, avoid taking damage, and then you deal with it. But on the earlier waves, it does the same thing, but there's less prayers that come out from the orb, so you don't have to flick as much. It doesn't seem that complicated, but it's a lot of clicking, like accurate clicking, especially once you factor in that you have to be doing other stuff sometimes at the same time, especially when you're learning. You kind of tend to stack things up together. So this is like the melee punish attack where you have to melee the boss. If you don't melee it, it basically just kills you. I mean, it doesn't kill you, but it basically kills you. It does so much damage to you that you may as well just restart. Here's that orb attack again. I might have to actually do it this time if I hit 0. So hit the far orb and then the close orb, and it basically does like the same thing every time. It's gonna do like 3 attacks, and then it's gonna start doing the slam, and you have to be inside of the orb and have it spawn by then. Right, so it's basically the same thing every time. You get the feel of it after a while of when you need, because it's not like the timing ever changes. The timing's the same every time. It's an exact amount of ticks. I think it's like 20 ticks. Don't quote me on that. I don't know the actual number. I think it's 20. Something like that. I don't actually count ticks when I'm playing, though. Way too much number shit. But now, wave 5, we get a whole new mechanic, which is this car phase, where the boss teleports around the room, but you're 100% accurate against the boss in the process, so it actually makes the waves easier now. 5 is actually harder and longer than, like, 6, 7, and 8, because it has a shorter car phase. 7's not even, or 7 and 8 aren't even really that hard. It's more of, like, the more you do, the more waves you do, the more filled up the room gets, like with this poison, which makes it harder to move and do stuff. So if you don't clear it, you're basically just done for. Could have gotten an extra hit on the boss there. I didn't. We also popped that grub a little bit too early, so we didn't actually do any damage to the boss. I don't know why I did that. I was literally thinking in my head not to do that, and then I did it, which was path over the poison there. But yeah, so now we don't want to miss any ticks here on 5. Thank God the rocks kind of blocked the pathing of those grubs from reaching the boss, so they don't heal it. But as long as we don't miss any ticks with the T-bow, we'll get like, what, 5 hits or something here. If you miss a tick, you don't get this last hit in, right? And if you miss a tick, you hit him with Scorching Bows so that you still get the attack off on 100% accuracy. This should just kill the boss here, so I'm not going to worry about doing any of the mechanics. But, like, right there, the way it works is, like, the boss did that boulder right away, right? So he does the boulder, and if he does the boulder right away, you basically do the prayer switches and then hit your rocks, like, right after that, and you'll be good. You just want to hit, you know, a far pattern. Straight line, and you're chilling. Go to wave 6 now. Wave 6 is pretty chilling. Use our last sip of prayer potion. I've been bringing prayer pots recently because I don't really use brews on the earlier waves. You may as well just use prayer pots. Always look at the ground there. Make sure you're not getting hit unnecessarily. Unfortunately, we just had a 523 XP drop nullify, which I think is a 79 or something like that. So that's never good. Must have lost a tick somewhere or not been on the right tick. We kind of messed up here. Maybe I don't take damage here. I don't think so, though. Oh, I don't. Okay, we just have to brute force the boss because I messed up. And that was my bad. Okay, but we did brute force it, thankfully. We'll just do 7 without brewing up. And that way we get to save our first dose of divine till 8, which is usually pretty good if you're trying to go a little bit deeper. We do get the extra hit in there, but unfortunately it's only an 8. I guess it's better than nothing, right? Definitely still better than nothing. But again, on wave 7, we want to minimize the amount of damage we take. We want to take like no damage ideally, apart from ZCB, until wave 8. We're going to watch where the boulders drop, so none dropped on the left side, so we're just going to go right. We can use this boulder and then juke over here, and this one up there should still be alive. We have to be, I think, diagonal to this boulder. And we can bait the boss right here. We could have also baited him to the middle of the room. I mean, there's a million things we could have done right there. We just took a little bit of extra damage. Boss still has a little bit of health. We should be able to just hit it. If we don't, again, boulder comes out right away. So we deal with the prayer, we deal with the boulder, and then we hit the rocks. You can hit the first rock while you're waiting for the boulder to pop. But don't hit the second rock until the boulder pops, and you deal with every prayer. If it happens, if you get the prayer attack, the boulders, if you get one attack and then boulders, you basically have to hit the orb right away as the prayer ends. If not, you get like a couple ticks. And if the boss does like 2 or 3 attacks, you basically have to hit the boulders in the middle of dealing with the prayer attacks. So normally you want to just go for a really long straight line, proc the boulders as late as possible before the boulder procs. Boulder pops, and then you like control click and then do the prayer switches. I don't know if any of that made sense at all, but that's what I do. Hopefully it made sense. Well, divine though, this is our first sip of divine. We're now on wave 8. We haven't really used any supplies. We used, what, like 3 sips of brew. And that was about it. So go into wave 8 now. Boss is gonna do. Now, as long as we start moving the tick that... Okay, that shadow did not show up there. But anyways, as I was saying, as long as we start moving the tick that boulder pops, we're good. We'll never get hit by any additional boulders. And as long as we click fire, we shouldn't ever get hit by shadows on the ground either, just because of how the timing lines up. That close melee grub right there might leak, which we really don't want, but it happens. So yeah, it leaked, but the far one's not gonna leak. It'll despawn. We're chilling. Now, basically, as soon as that yellow portal shows up, we do that. I think I get dragged if I hit the boss there, so we're just going to move back a little bit. And hopefully we kill him here before he has the chance to shoot poison everywhere, which he did, unfortunately. And one thing I just did that I didn't mean to do that's not very good is I brew restored on like 80 health. Generally don't want to brew restore until you're like 60 health, and you'll really be chilling. So like right there, I messed up. Not only did I lag, but I messed up. So I moved a tick too late on the boulder. And as a result, I took damage from the shadows on the ground because I moved too late. And you also have to start prayer flicking at kind of a weird time, or at least it feels weird, right? Okay, yeah, we are really lagging. I don't know if this is server lag or what this is. We're going to get another grub delete. Not much we can do about it. I was thinking about going in to hit it there, but honestly, I'm kind of glad I didn't because I was lagging. So if I went in to hit it, I probably would have missed some ticks and taken a ton of unintentional damage. Should be able to just go here, though, and finish the boss off. We have 81 health. Still no drops, eh? 778 KC. Wonder if we'll get one before 800. Probably not, but maybe. That far ranger shouldn't leak, so we should be able to just run straight over here. And this is a drop right here. Boom. Never lucky. Never ever lucky. Not doing too hot, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like GIM Dickbrain headed into level 11 Delve here. Will he be able to get a drop on this run? Most likely not. He is a little bit dry here, unfortunately. But he is going to try his best. He is going to keep pushing forward. Redivine, proceed to Delve level 11. I mean, this could be the Wave 25 Glory run. No tech. No spec weps other than a ZCB. No poison clear. I mean, this could be it. I'm so bad. I keep missing hits because I'm just like being too careful. The thing is, I don't want to miss the prayer flick entirely and then take like a 70 off prayer, right? I'd rather just play it safe and never worry. It's like, does it make a difference? Yes, but is it like worth the whatever? I don't know. Okay, so we drop some rocks on the right side of the room, but we have a bit more to work with on the left side if we just go a little bit further back and maybe lose a tick. I think I can still hit the boss from here, though, when he moves here, so this should be fine. Even if you can't hit the boss, like if you have to run really far to hit a boulder, you can usually squeeze in an extra attack before it actually becomes an issue, right? So just something to keep in mind. Damn, ZCB and Tebow make this so easy. I'm struggling with orb phases almost every delve. Only Scorching and Chally. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Tebow and ZCB definitely do make this, like, really easy. I have to deal with mechanics, like, every now and then, but not like, super frequently. But when I deal with the mechanics, like, I know how to handle them at this point, you know. You don't get to, like, delve 25 without getting mechanics multiple times. It looks really good. And yes, you'll get a lot of, like, 8, 9, 10, 11, you know, clears with Tebow and ZCB. But if you don't know how to actually, like, deal with the orb and stuff, you're not going to go much higher than that. We're losing a hit here on the boss. We could have gotten an extra hit and had pretty deep proc, but we'll just kill that guy. We could have also just killed that guy to deal damage to the boss. We're going to take a little bit of poison damage here, unfortunately. And we're going to slow this down a little bit as well. We'll hit the far major, the close one, and then the ranger. I think that was like the 4th grub. So we have a big stack of boulders over here, so we'll just bait the boss over here. And then we'll bait the boss right here, and then we'll use this boulder. Whenever you have a big clump, you can always pretty much rely that like half of them aren't going to die. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Oh, just kill the boss. Please die. Thank you. Thank you, brother. TY, TY. No drop, never lucky. We'll brew up because we're at 66 health, so we can triple brew and restore only once, and we're chilling. We do have to re-range pot, though, which is fine. It's kind of a waste of a dose. We probably could have done the next wave at 66 health. Even at like 30 health, we could do the wave, but especially these earlier waves where you don't really have any poison on the ground. Like, I could have went in for a hit on the boss there, but I didn't. It never hurts to, like, stall a tick there either, because you actually have poison splatter immunity during the transition right there, where the boss is, like, charging up to go into this phase. So right here, if we don't kill the boss... So if we didn't kill the boss there, we do the prayer flick. Because it was the second attack, we do the prayer flick. And on the... When we pray double, so right there was a range orb, right? So we pray range, mage, range. And when we get hit by the 2 range balls at the same time is when we hit the rock. And then we start moving with it, right? You have to hit the rock a lot earlier if there's an additional attack that comes out there, and a lot later if not, if that makes sense. I mean, you're hitting it at the same time every time, but that's sort of how that lines up. Oops. That's why we sit like above 60 health, by the way. We see boulders left, so we go left. We might have to tank some poison here. Actually, we can just go to this boulder here. Like, if this boulder wasn't here, we'd have to tank 1 tick of poison, but it's still less damage than tanking the slam. We're going to lose some boulders here. Now we might have to tank the slam. Okay, we're actually lagging really bad, so we're definitely tanking the slam. And we do the boulder, and we survive, and we get the completion. Okay, please just give me a drop. Please, it's been a minute. Just give me something good. Por favor. We have this room is like completely ragged, by the way. Probably should have taken some time to clear some poison on some of the earlier waves, or maybe not spawn so much on the later waves. Could have hit the boss an additional time there. I'm really messing up on hitting the boss here and actually oh my god. I almost died twice there. I don't know what I was doing. Yeah, I don't know what I was doing there. I was just totally lost. I don't know what I was doing there either. I thought, yeah, I don't know. I knew I was off tick there. I don't know why I did that. We did not get an additional orb. Normally you get another orb there. That was so bad. I don't know what I was doing there, but whatever. Oh my lord. Making quite a bit of mistakes this run. Definitely could have made it to like wave 20 or higher had I not just made a million mistakes the last two waves. But I think we're chilling. We will just brew restore up. Maybe I could do 2 more waves with like good play. I mean, I could do like 5 more with good play, but with really good play. But probably just do 1 more and then claim, unless we take no damage this wave. I mean, I guess we could go for 1 more wave. Why not? What's the worst that could happen? We actually got insanely lucky the last 2 runs on poison placement. Like, we have had no poison on this side of the boss unless they hotfixed it so that the boss doesn't drop poison on the side you're on or something. I don't know. I think I'm just going to stay on this side of the boss and just hit stuff as it comes in. Actually, no. Right here I can run to this spot. Melees should go to this corner. So again, right there, if we actually had to deal with that orb, we would have just prey flicked it and then hit the boulder when we were doing the double prayer flick. Or not the double flick, but like the double when you get hit by 2 prayers at the same time. The same prayer twice in a row. We'll claim, though, that is 5 Mokoatl Waystones, which is very, very nice. We will claim that loot, brother. 787 KC. We are nearing 800 right now. This is not looking too hot for GIM Dick Brain, though. Not looking too hot at all. I will be 100% honest. Not looking too good. But that's fine. We push through. How many passive IAC charges have we gotten recently? Like 2,000 passively. How many do we have in the bank too? You can only have 50,000 in there at a time. So we have like 86,000 charges, which is pretty sick. Hopefully we do get another drop though by the time that I run out of restores again. I'll pick these white berries, why not? I'm a drinker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight toker. Yeah, we could make more brews, but once we're out of restores, we are 100% out of restores. Maybe I should be utilizing like prayer enhancers or something. I don't even know. But yeah, we're a little bit doomed here on the supplies. We can, I mean, we're like chilling on everything else. We can make like another what 500 brews. How much toad flax do I even have? I don't even think I have that much toad flax. I have 1,000 toad flax, so if we farmed out some nests, we could make like 750 more brews, which is fine. We can make like 1,000 prayer pots, make plenty of super combats, plenty of range pots, etc. But we are starved on the super restores. Probably have to go back to TOA soon, actually, and do a bunch of TOAs and just use all the prayer pots that I make at TOA and then convert all of the prayer pots into restores via Snapdragon seed drops. Slowly and surely. Be nice to go back to TOA eventually anyways. We need another ward technically now that the IAC is a thing. Need another ward and we potentially need... Yeah, need another ward for sure and potentially need... Or we do need a couple more Missouri masks and that's it. Yeah, what a rough log. Holy moly. 787 KC, 21 deepest delve, 3,050. Oh my lord. Not looking too hot for us. I will be right back though. I'm going to grab some more coffee and then I will resume the activities. Alright, I've returned. Wait, did we not claim the loot? I don't think I claimed the loot last time. Because we got 5 waystones, but they are not in my bank. Whatever, we'll just run back one more time. Imagine I go to claim the loot and there's a pair of boots in there. Just imagine how crazy that would be. Helping noobs with the ZCB Missouri. Yeah, we just never claimed it last time. Oh well. Holy smokes, I think that was the longest P1 I've ever had. Ever. That was a minute and a half wave 1 with near max range. Please drop soon. PLS, please. not the 529. It's always the 529 XP drop. Gets an old every time. Yeah, I don't know. That was a really, really sloppy wave, but whatever. We send the next one. That wave alone. Oops, I'm IACing the boss. Alrighty then, whatever. Whatever. What can you do? What can you do? What can you do? For a Klondike bar. Whoa there. I just grabbed the wrong thing. Oopsie daisy. Meant to grab a house tab. I am getting tired, I guess. I don't even know. We'll send like one last attempt, probably. Or not one last attempt, but like one last run. For the time being. Farming Guild. Oh, my lordy lord. Alright, yeah, one last, like, wave 13 run. We'll get to, like, 800 KC. Let's check high scores right now. I mean, checking high scores is kind of lame, because I'm friends with most of the people in the top, like, 20, so I'm definitely not top 20, but I might be, like, top 400 now. 421. Oh, yeah. And I guess that's kind of cool. Maybe I'll stay somewhat up there. I doubt it, especially with all the bots, but you never know. That's not supposed to happen anymore. They said they fixed that. It's not supposed to get 2 balls in a row. Yeah, I don't know. That was just bad play, though. I knew when I seen that second ball come out that it was over. I don't know. I'm kind of freaking tired. Tired of killing this. Tired of doing it. Tired of being here. I mean, this is just rough. Like, what is this? We're 185 KC, wave 8. Basically averaging wave 12, even though we have like 100 wave 8s and like 100 wave 18 pluses. Just did some tech early on. 247s, 276s, 293 5s. Like, it's actually so freaking rough. Like, it's genuinely rough. I don't even know, man. I don't know what to do because this is killing me. Oh, I swear to ya. Alright, maybe I go smoke and then I do one more trip. One more and then I go to bed or lay down for a little while. Take a little nap. Because, as I said, this is just killing me a little bit here. Just a little bit. Going dry. I think my last drop was at like 600, if I'm being honest. Or maybe it was like 650. I don't know. But it was quite a few runs ago. And my last drop was pet. And I kind of didn't want to keep going. I took a break for a little bit because it just felt really bad getting another pet. Yeah. Maybe I go smoke real quick, lock in, and do one more trip. But the reality is I'm almost out of amethyst here. Like, one more run and I'm out. Or not one more, like 5 more runs and I'm out of amethyst arrows. So that'll be 15,000 amethyst arrows that I've used here. Definitely used a lot. Let's see if the quiver even has any charges left. 270, nice. 10% progress, not bad. But yeah, just need these freaking boots, man. Avernic treads, so hard to acquire. So hard to acquire. 21. Yeah, I feel like my deepest delve should be a lot deeper too for my KC. Alright, this is my last run. For now. Last run for now. 966.8. What was the what did Empyrean get when they did their testing, their N League last league? In the thousands is crazy. That was actually a pretty cool N League project. I remember watching them go Zoom. It's going to be interesting. Point 3 will be interesting now that like all the players are coming back essentially for Point 3. Only real ones played Point 2 though. I'm probably honestly gonna play. I mean, I have to go through everything before N League, clear out my bank and stuff. So I don't know how it all transfers to standard, but I don't want it to be a disaster. Oh, we're gonna get a little bit of grub leakage here. But yeah, I don't think I was expecting to stop playing when I did. I kind of just started playing RuneScape and I got back into it, so I kept playing it. It was my plan to keep playing PoE 2 more. I really wanted to see a beer drop or something, or an incense relic, but honestly, I'm kind of happy. Like if I were to just stop where I'm at, because I know that the RNG will be there next league. You know what I'm saying? Like it has to be. There's no way that I go dry next league on anything. And hopefully the league mechanics and everything are a lot of fun. I haven't looked too much into anything yet. I didn't watch the preview or anything. I will. I'll do my research before it actually launches. But chances are, like leveling and just overall campaign, I'm literally just gonna like chillax and just probably not like follow a guide. I usually just free for all to start, do my own passive and everything, and then like I'll look and see what builds there are, what builds are looking pretty strong, etc. And usually I invest into like whatever Fubgun and everyone else is not doing, right? Because Fubgun, like he comes out with some pretty good builds and whatnot at the start of the league, but they become so meta that they're like unplayable unless you just buy Divine Orbs or something. So I like going with the off-meta builds like Bleed Mage, for example. That was like no one played that when I played it, which was nice. So I'm hoping that there's something like that next league. Chances are there won't be, but if there is, that would be absolutely freaking sick. What are we doing here? We are redivining. We are on wave 12. I think this is the wave that I need for 800 KC. I don't know why I popped that crab back there, but... Oh, that's so cringe. Why can't I just hit the boss there? Oh well. Well, I guess we take a break now. Yeah, I'm probably going to end my stream and take a little nap. I have been at it for a while now on RuneScape. We are over 800 KC with absolutely nada. It's looking a little bit rough. Just a little bit. We missed out on a bunch of sun-kissed bones too. That's so unfortunate. Whatever.